Today, we're going to talk about the difference between Harris and Trump as it relates to the most important issue facing voters, the economy, and I interview Congressman Jared Moskowitz about the Republicans still trying to impeach Joe Biden and his message to voters in light of what Republicans have spent their political capital on in Congress. I'm Brian Tyler Cohen, and you're watching No Lie. So something just happened in polling that I'm not sure I've ever seen before. On the issue of the economy, Kamala Harris is currently leading Donald Trump. She's leading 44-42 in the Financial Times poll, 48-45 in an Echelon Insights poll. Now, usual caveats apply. Polling is a snapshot of a moment in time. It's not a predictor of the future. But Republicans have enjoyed an advantage on the issue of the economy forever. Granted, in my book, Shameless, I discuss how the advantage is completely undeserved. In my entire lifetime, there has not been a single Republican administration that has left office with a stronger economy than a Democratic administration, that's left office with more jobs added than a Democratic administration, that's left office with a lower unemployment rate than a Democratic administration. But still, this branding persists because of stasis, right? Because Republicans just beat their chests about how they're great on the economy, and this absurd notion just gets seared into everybody's brains after decades and decades and decades. Which is why what Kamala Harris is achieving right now is amazing. Because she's not just going up against a political party that enjoys strong economic branding, she's also going head-to-head with somebody whose personal branding is that he knows how to handle business and jobs and money and the economy. But what she's able to expose is that behind the glossy veneer of that branding, there's not much substance. And you don't need a degree in economics to figure out why what she's doing is not only more appealing, but will continue to grow the middle and working class in this country. So here are just a few examples of her economic agenda. $25,000 for first-time home buyers, with 3 million new housing units built, which will bring down the cost of all rent across the country. Legislation to stop predatory investors who buy up rental homes and collude with each other from raising rental prices. A national ban on price gouging for food, and giving the FTC and prosecutors the authority to go after companies who do it. A $50,000 tax break for new small businesses, and a goal of 25 million new small business applications in the first 2 years of her term. $6,000 tax credit for newborns, and a restoration of the Democrats' $3,600 tax credit for middle and low-class families, all the while not raising taxes on any household earning $400,000 or less. It would take the best elements of the Biden administration, which, by the way, has already led the U.S. to the strongest economy in the world, a record high stock market, and record job growth, while adding even more policies to help the middle class. But it's when you factor in Trump's plan that really does put on full display the extent to which there is only one serious candidate in this race. Donald Trump's plan is effectively slapping tariffs on every single item entering the United States, with some tariffs even going up as high as 200%. But what Trump doesn't seem to understand is that tariffs don't just mean the U.S. would suddenly collect extra money that magically goes into some general fund, and it certainly doesn't mean that it's going to be paid by the foreign businesses. Tariffs are a tax passed on to the consumer, meaning the people who would pay more taxes are Americans, period. That is how tariffs work. There's no other way around this. It's a tax on Americans. Think about how many products you buy on a daily basis that come from other countries. Think about clothes and household supplies, kitchen supplies, electronics, toys. Now imagine what the price of those items would look like with a Trump tax of 10 or 20 or 60 or 100 or 200% on top of that. This guy's inability to understand the economy is going to send your daily costs skyrocketing. And the irony of that, of course, is that Republicans have spent the last year crucifying Joe Biden over the worldwide phenomenon of inflation, which is, by the way, not only down to the target 2% range, but came down without a recession. The disastrous economy that Donald Trump left the Democrats was handled perfectly by this administration, but still Republicans have clutched their pearls over high costs on an endless loop. And yet now, their party is going to voluntarily send costs to the moon, all because their leader has the business acumen of a freshman econ major who's about to fail out, and they don't have the balls to say anything about it, to step up to him. So, look, I understand the allure of having a businessman in office. I get it. I understand how it's attractive to hear somebody say that they will run the country in the same way that they run their business. The problem is the way that Donald Trump has run his businesses, most of which end in failure. Trump Airlines, Trump Water, Trump Steaks, Trump Wine, Trump Vodka, Trump the Game, Trump University, GoTrump.com. There is a reason that none of these still exist. It's because they were all ripoffs that just went belly up. The guy owes nearly $500 million because the Trump org was neck deep in fraud. So the notion that Donald Trump will run the country like he runs his businesses is precisely why he shouldn't be elected president. And Americans, to their credit, are finally starting to catch on. Here's a preview of my interview with Congressman Jared Moskowitz. Okay, so the newest update right now is that Congress looks like it will pass a clean continuing resolution to keep the government open.
Oh, who could have seen that coming, Brian? Who could have seen that coming?
What was the holdup from Republicans? Because it wasn't that easy. It's not like we just fell into a clean CR to keep the government open.
Same show, different episode, right? Like, let's go backwards for a second. Why isn't Kevin McCarthy speaker anymore? Oh, I know why. He did a clean CR with the Democrats. Okay, well, let's create chaos and get rid of him. And then, Speaker Johnson comes in, and what does he do? Well, he's got to have a CR vote. He goes to his Republican colleagues, and they're like, we're not keeping the government open. So he puts a clean CR on the floor, and we do it with the Democrats, right? And we do exactly what got Speaker McCarthy removed. We do it again. Now, here we go. Third time around. Third time's a charm, right? Here we go. Well, let's try to do it, with the SAVE Act. Let's try to really partisan up keeping the government open.
And real quick, talk about what the SAVE Act is.
Sure. The SAVE Act says that illegal immigrants would not be able to vote, which is already the law,
So let me ask you this. I want to play devil's advocate here because
Sure.
the criticism from Republicans is, okay, well, if you're not opposed to it, then why don't you just pass it?
Okay, well, first of all, it's already in the Constitution, which is a higher document than statute. So let's start there, okay? Number two is they didn't just do that. They then added in all sorts of other stuff that had nothing to do with the top issue, like giving individuals the ability to go sue, election supervisors who are going to tally votes, giving every American the ability to go sue, which, by the way, would not only increase litigation, but would actually keep us from ever getting a result. Everything would be in court, okay? And so that's why they were literally trying to destroy how people get elected in this country, and that's one of the reasons why Democrats didn't go along with the other myriad of nonsense in there. But don't listen to us. They couldn't pass it with their own members. Republicans rejected this idea. They couldn't pass it, and not one or two, by the dozens didn't vote for that CR. In fact, if you're watching, they had members voting for it, and then they saw that it was going to fail, and they were switching. Oh, well, if it's going to fail, we'll vote no. Okay.
Right. So they're not on record.
Hold on, we're not done, Brian. We're not done. And then you had Donald Trump coming out and saying, shut it down, shut the government down, right? Shut it down. So now members are like, oh, well, the mothership has beamed down the instructions.
Right.
Okay, so what do we do? So meanwhile, the CR fails on the floor. Very embarrassing. Usually doesn't happen, but things like that have happened here now in Congress that we've never seen before for the last 2 years. So guess what we do? Well, let's run the playbook again that Republicans have complained about, working with the Democrats to keep government open. We're going to be voting on it, this afternoon. It's going to pass on a bipartisan basis, probably with more Democrats. Republicans having to run to us to be the adults in the room. We did it on the debt ceiling. We did it on government shutdown. We did it on Ukraine. We'll continue to do that. But just, really embarrassing for the speaker.
And so what are the implications now for Mike Johnson? Because again, to your exact point, this is the precise reason that Kevin McCarthy was ousted as speaker. And so do Republicans just accept the fact that for the same reason that they got rid of Kevin McCarthy, that they're just going to have to
they can't wait to get out of here. They can't wait. They're going to do this vote. They're going to run to the camera. They're going to bitch, moan, and complain about what just happened. And then they're going to get on their flight and go home, and we're never going to hear about it again.
To watch the full interview with Jared Moskowitz, click the thumbnail right here on the screen or check out the interviews playlist on my YouTube channel. You can also click the link on the screen to listen to the audio version of this episode, and of course to see more of my content, the subscribe button's on the screen as well.